Welcome to the Bracky Factory and welcome to the latest thrilling episode in the Ner-a-car project. Now, as a little reminder, the mission is to get Nat, the chief test pilot, rolling down the road on the Ner-a-car. But to do that, I've got to sort out the steering, which is what I'm going to be focusing on in this episode. But before that, we're going hunting for parts.
So I'm on the road again. It's a lovely Sunday morning and it's a very exciting day because I'm off to the Banbury Run. Now, the Banbury Run is a large motorcycle event for pre-1930 motorbikes, and there's going to be loads there apparently. But this day is exciting for three reasons. One, loads of old motorbikes, and you never know, there might be a Ner-a-car there. I mean, they're as rare as hen's teeth, but there might be a Ner-a-car there. Two, there's an auto jumble, and we do love an auto jumble, don't we? So you never know, I might get parted with lots of cash. I've not got lots of cash, but I might get parted with the cash I have. And three, there's a museum there, which is full of amazing cars. And if you like Miss Martha, you'll like some of the cars that are there, so stay tuned. And of course, no road trip would be complete without a cheese and marmite panini.
Pounds in funding during this Parliament as part of the government spending.
So I'm here bright and early, and already all the auto jumble stalls are out. Things turning up, so let's have a quick look round first, shall we? That was quite successful. I found a few bits and bobs which I'll show and tell later on, but now I'm off to the camping area to have a quick look round, see if I can find any Ner-a-cars. Here we have a sea of Ariel Bikes.
Oh, that nearly had you.
Marshals signing on 10 for a briefing at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
That's quite an expensive bike. Look at this. Looks like a boat. Awesome. Is it a bike or is it a motorbike? A mixture of the two, I think.
Do you think that somebody owns that? Just the one in existence then?
1928.
I'm not doing time.
This one is very cool. So, number of amazing bikes, nearly 300. Number of Ner-a-cars, 0. So I think I'm going to have to do something about that next year, aren't I? So the bikes are on their way, so now's a good time to go and look at the museum. So I'm now inside the museum, which is an amazing place. This is the sort of stuff that I'm looking at. But I'm in search of a very particular pair of cars, so let's see if we can find them. And here they are. So this is the Works Austin 7 Racer, and no prizes for working out that it was this car which was the inspiration for a lot of the work that was done on Miss Martha. So as you can see there, this is the rear suspension which I unashamedly copied for Miss Martha, and it basically is an Austin 7 chassis, Austin 7 engine and Austin 7 gearbox. However, the difference between this one and Miss Martha is this one is supercharged and it has an offset rear axle shown there. The reason it's got an offset rear axle is so that the centre of gravity can be much lower and you're basically sitting on the floor pan. The front suspension I pretty much copied for Miss Martha, although the Works Austin car is somewhat more sophisticated. Now, when I said I was looking for a couple of cars, I was looking for the blue car and the green car, but what I didn't realise is that both of the green 1936 Austin 7 twin cam racers were there. So this looks similar, but actually under the skin it's very different. It doesn't have an Austin 7 chassis. In fact, there are no parts on this car which are Austin 7 parts really. But what it does have is a 750cc twin cam engine which revs to an astonishing 12,000 RPM and produces over 90 horsepower, which will take it to over 120 miles an hour. So for 1936, that's kind of mind-boggling. This is the other car. There are two of them. There were originally three, but one I think got destroyed. They're very, very similar. This one has a very comfortable looking cockpit. That seat is sort of reminiscent of the sort of fabric you get in old cinemas. I must admit, Miss Martha would look rather dashing with a seat like that. This one doesn't have an offset rear axle, but it does have a special diff which has a drive going into the bottom, so the centre of gravity is still very, very low. I'm sure you'll agree that all three of them are absolutely fantastic. So it's amazing to see these cars, so mission accomplished. But while we're here, we may as well have a quick look round. Now that is spectacular. So that was a Banbury Run at Gaydon. I've got to confess, I'm slightly disappointed there were no Ner-a-cars, but not all that surprised. But on the upside, I got to see lots of other awesome bikes, got to see the cars in the museum, and I got some stuff as well, which I'll show you later. But now I think it's time to go back to the Bracky factory, as there is work to be done again. So now back at the Bracky factory and ready to get cracking, and the next thing on the Ner-a-car is to carry on with his steering. Now, I made that new bracket last time, so I want to carry on, sort out the steering column. But in order to do that, there's a fairly big chunk that needs to be sorted out. And it's this. This is the front mudguard. It's damaged here, but I'm going to repair that. It's cracked. But all this lot is solid and structural, but also completely minging. So I need to do the treatment on that, clean it all up, give it a lick of oil, lanolin oil, and bolt it on. So get cracking with that now. Right, so the front mudguard is now in situ, and it's had the whole clean and lanolin treatment, so it's not gonna, it looks a bit more presentable and it's not going to get any worse. I've put this top bracket on, loosely bolted on, and I've loosely bolted in the bottom bracket, which is the one I made last time. So the bit I'm going to be working on is the steering column, which consists of the outer tube and the inner rod. So let's go over the bench and have a look at what we've got to work with. Right, over the bench and a quick look at what we're working with. So this is the existing tube, and I've put it in the old bracket to show you how it fits in. It's actually a very thin gauge tube, and it's got this flange at the end that I don't know whether it was meant to be attached because it wobbles. I'm kind of guessing it must have been. Anyway, I need to whip that off and clean it up and see if there's any evidence of it ever being welded, etc. Tube itself is a bit pitted. It's a bit chewed and manky at that end. But anyway, the way it works is that the steering column goes down through the middle, the shaft, and pokes out the end. This arm goes on the end. And this spring, which is broken, kind of holds the whole thing together. At the other end, this bit slides onto it, this big brass bush, with difficulty because it's all chewed up, and then this goes up over that bracket that's on the front mudguard, and this bit slides down inside, and this is effectively the bearing. This bit looks kind of, that's the cat in the background. This bit is homemade. Shut up, cat. And so I'm not sure about that. And finally, of course, you've got the steering column, the main shaft. So this is it's sort of got a bearing surface here, which is what that fits on there, and it also rotates against there. It pushes on there under spring loading. It's not too bad, that. But this is all a bit dodge. And then it's slightly wasted here. It's a smaller diameter. And down this end, this is the end which goes in the bottom of the shaft. It's all a bit pitted. I've done a bit of cleaning up here. It's all a bit pitted. And that is the bit that I need to address first, because there is a very, very thin bearing inside here, and this slides down over there like that, but it does kind of rattle a little bit from side to side. So what I'm thinking is I might make a whole new one of these. Keep this bit, keep that bit. Obviously this bit is staying, but make a new one of those. So but what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to investigate this and see how this is held on. Right, so I whipped this off, cleaned it up, and it doesn't seem to show much in the way of evidence. Oh, there's a little spot there. I'm guessing it probably was fixed on somehow, because it will make sense that if the clamp came loose, it would stop it being pulled upwards, which would be quite good. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. Probably going to tack weld this onto a new one. But anyway, let's now focus on making a new tube. Right, new bit of tube cut, same length, same outside diameter, which is 1 inch, but it's thicker. I couldn't get anything like this, so it's thicker. So let's just offer this up to the bike and see if everything lines up first. Right, well, everything lines up fantastically, so that's quite good. This has got a little pinch bolt here which tightens this. This has got a split in it, so it clamps it all tight. So let's just see what the handlebars look like down through there. Right, that slides down there like that and turns, but of course we now have to sort out the bearings top and bottom. The original one was either a brass or bronze bearing which slid into here. I'm going to remake that. And the bottom one was originally a very, very thin one that slid up during the inside the tube, so got to remake that. But I think first thing we need to do is take a look at this bearing surface here. This is all a bit corroded and manky, so clean that up, and then I think we'll tackle this bottom bearing first. Right, so this bearing surface has now been cleaned up, and this is the top bearing, same diameter, and you can see how loose that is. Not ideal. So what I've got somewhere here is a special oil impregnated bush. Too big for there, so the plan is to machine this down, take it out on the inside, get it a nice sliding fit over that, then modify the steering column outer tube so that I can slide the thing in. It means it's going to be very thin, and I'm going to have to bore out the tube as well, but let's give that a crack. So right, this is now a nice sliding fit on this shaft, which is quite nice. So now I need to machine this down and my new steering column so that one slides into the other. Right, so we've machined up the tube, taken it out so it's a 1mm wall thickness, and we've machined this bush. This bush is now an interference fit in here. So what I'm going to do is going to try and tap it in carefully and see how we get on. So what I decided to do was actually put it in the chuck. If I just twist this, it says that. What I'm going to do is pull the tailstock up tight, wind it in, see if that works. There it goes. Perfect. So we've now pressed the bearing into the tube, and I've got to confess I only thought about winding in with a tailstock, there and then. That wasn't part of the plan, but it worked very well. So if we now slide this onto the actual shaft, like that, rotates nice and freely, but then more importantly, there's absolutely zero play, no perceptible movement at all. That's quite nice. So now we've done the bottom one, time to do the top one. Right, change of plan. I'm not going to finish this because I thought I had a bit of brass to do that. I've not, so I've ordered some, so we're going to do something else. And we're going to do this. So this is the front link arm, and it's got two ends, obviously. This lever goes on the bottom of the steering column, keywayed in there. It's got a bush in there. That bush is attached into there, just slides in, and it is wobbly. I've got to sort that out. And at the other end we've got this ball joint here, you can see it, and that ball goes in there, and that was all a bit loose as well. So none of this stuff is very good if Nat is going to survive her test ride. So I've got to sort out both ends, take all the play out, recondition, renew, whatever I need to do. So first things first, let's strip it all down and clean it up and see what we've got. Right, we're now back at the bench and reviewing the situation, cleaned up some of these parts. Start off with this bit. This is the clevis pin that goes on the end of the steering arm, and it's actually pretty nice. Inside here is a little bronze bush. The way it works is that this is locked into the end, but then this is free to rotate as it goes round. It has to articulate, so that's nice. The hole through there is good. This is the bolt that held this on, and you can see there's a very small shoulder on here which corresponds to there, and that is of course worn out. So the bolt's worn out and the bush is worn out. The rest of it is fine, a bit pitted. At the other end we've got this kind of ball and socket joint, which is in pretty good condition. The ball is still round. The cup looks like a hardened cup. That's fine. I think that was just loose, to be honest. This end bud needs a bit more cleaning, but it's pretty good. So I think the only thing that really needs some work is this bush. Now, as it happens, it's very similar to an Austin 7. I've got another bush here, a new one. And the way you normally use these is you press them in, then you ream them out. I've got another 3/8 bolt here, and that's quite a nice fit. But if you take, this is actually UNF, a UNF bolt, 3/8, this is not being plated, this is just a high tensile. Doesn't quite go through, so what I think I'll do is I'll press this bush in, take the old one out, put this one in, and then get another high tensile BSF bolt and ream it so it's a really nice fit. Use that in the meantime if I need to, till the bolt turns up. The next step is to get that one out, put that one in. Right, we're getting this bush out, so lay this little tube, that slots on there, that goes on there, that goes through there, a wider tube goes on there, washer, nut. Now, in theory, if I tighten these, it should press this bush out of this arm. Obviously, this is slightly thinner diameter than the bush, and that is obviously a wider diameter than the outside of the bush, so the bush will slide into that thing there. Might need some heat on here to heat it up a bit, but let's whack it in the vise and give it a crack. Right, let's give this a go. I'm actually using Whitworth nuts and bolts here. Of course you don't need to, but it does need to be 3/8. So let's just wind it round. Right, looks like it's going. Right, let's have a look. Right, that's obviously coming out, which is quite good. Very good, in fact. But before I wind it out, there's the issue. That's too small. Anyway, let's finish getting this one out, and at least we can work out what we're going to do. Right, so the old bush is out now, and slight schoolboy error in that this receiving sleeve was too short, so that's why I had to knock it out at the end. I don't know, being human sucks sometimes. So this is too small, which is a problem. So that means I'm gonna have to make a new one of these. So off to eBay, I think, and either try and find something or order some material to machine up a new one. So that's kind of stopped me from that for now, I think. So I've been online, I've ordered some metal, it's on its way. So now it's about time I actually show you what I bought at the auto jumble at the Banbury Run. So what did I actually buy? The first thing is this inverted brake lever. Now, I'm not sure whether it's repro or original, but it's quite nice. So I bought that, and I bought another one. This is I didn't know what the ID was of the bore, so I bought this other one. This is not as nice, and actually it doesn't fit. So this will go into stock. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I bought this, which is a air and fuel slide lever, which is a rather nice one. Now, I'd already bought one at Bewley, but I like this one more. So looks like that one is going into stock, along with that, which I bought off eBay, which was a stupid thing to do because it's not even complete. So onto the parts mounting, but I'm quite pleased with that, and it was actually cheaper than that one. So if you want to buy these old bits, go to the Banbury Run, don't go to Bewley. What else did I buy? I bought another Brown and Barlow carb. Again, much cheaper than at Bewley. This bit doesn't look quite right, but it's all there. Now, as it happens, this is the one I bought at Bewley, which is very, very similar, if not the same. So you've got a slightly different lid, isn't it? And I already had, this one, but this one's got the slides missing. So I'm sure out of these three, I can probably make one decent carb or make the parts that are missing. So that's not bad. So I'm pretty pleased with that haul. Now I've got all the rare bits that I think I'm going to need to finish the bike. I still need a few things like cables and a chain and stuff like that, but I've got the rare bits. So now what I need is that metal so I can crack on and make some more parts. But if you want to see me make those parts, you're going to have to tune in next time. So if you've not hit subscribe already, hit subscribe and you'll get to find out about it automatically. So if you've liked that, please do hit like. Please do leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. What would you have done? And you think I should take my bike along to the Banbury show next year? Is it pushing it? Let me know what you think. If you want to support the channel, please consider buying one of these t-shirts. Link up here. But I think for now that's about it. So thanks for watching.